Welcome to Bedtime Blocks. Tonight's story is Cabin Confession number 3, a spooky Minecraft tale about a loyal dog and a haunted corner no one talks about. If you enjoy creepy Minecraft stories, relaxing gameplay, or haunted bedtime lore, you're in the right place. Subscribe for new stories every night. Drop a like if you felt the chill, and tell me in the comments, what do you think Moose saw in that corner? I know what you're thinking. Dogs do weird stuff in Minecraft all the time, pacing, barking at skeletons, sitting randomly. But trust me, this was different. This wasn't some glitch. This wasn't a bug. This was targeted. It started on my third night in the cabin. I just finished building it, nothing fancy. Just a small spruce setup tucked in a forest clearing far from spawn. A bed, furnace, double chest, and a cozy campfire outside. Peaceful, right? That's what I thought. I had a tamed wolf with me. I'd found him wandering near the taiga a day before. Fed him some bones, gave him a name tag. Moose. No reason. It just felt right. Moose followed me everywhere. Saturday when I told him to. Growled at mobs like a champ. Classic good boy behavior. But that third night, he sat in the far corner of the cabin. The dark one near the crafting table. The one shadowed by the low overhang of the roof. And he wouldn't move. Not even when I called him. At first, I thought it was a pathfinding bug. I even broke the blocks near him and rebuilt them. He stayed frozen, head tilted slightly upward, ears twitching. Then came the growling. Low, soft, constant. I crouched next to him and looked in the same direction. Nothing there, just corner blocks, cobblestone floor, an empty flower pot on a shelf. But the way he was staring, tail stiff, legs locked, made my skin crawl. I logged off for the night, thinking nothing of it. Maybe it'd fix itself. When I logged back in the next morning, Moose was still staring. And I had a notification in chat. Server. Player Null has joined the game. Except, I was on a private, single-player world. I froze. That message, Player Null has joined the game, sat there in the chat like a dare. It didn't make sense. There were no plugins, no mods, no LAN. Just me. Solo survival. Seed generated fresh 2 weeks ago. I typed list just to be sure. Only one name showed up, Steve. My name, no one else. But Moose was still growling. And now his tail was tucked. I walked around the cabin, scanning every window. Nothing but trees and fog. The usual early morning Minecraft mist clinging to the spruce trunks. No name tags, no armor glints. No footprints in the coarse dirt paths I'd laid out. Still, the silence felt loaded, like the world was holding its breath. I walked back inside. Moose didn't blink. Then a sound. Step. Not mine, not Moose's. One single, unmistakable player footstep on wood. I whipped around. Nothing. Checked F3. No players. No mobs. Nothing registered behind me at all, but I heard it. Right next to me. I opened the chest to distract myself. Maybe I was being paranoid, but then I noticed something off. A new item, something I hadn't crafted. Name tag, null. No italics, no enchantment, just a blank tag named null. I didn't make that. I never made that. And that's when Moose finally moved. He stood, stared up at me, and walked backward into the corner again, Saturday, and continued growling. I logged off. I sat in silence, watching the Minecraft launcher spin. Then reopened the world. The second I spawned in, the rain had started. Thunder cracked above the cabin, and Moose was gone. I spun in circles, heart pounding. No Moose. No wolf, no collar, no particles, no death message, nothing. Just gone. I checked every corner of the cabin, even under the floorboards I'd placed down the day before. Nothing. I typed TP at E-type wolf. Tilde, 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 yeah. I cheated, but I was desperate. No entity was found. It didn't make sense. Even if he somehow died, the server should have told me. It always does. But this time, not a word. I stepped outside into the rain. It was thick, loud, almost unnatural. The sky was black, way darker than normal even for a storm. Lightning didn't flash. It streaked across the entire horizon and stayed there like a frozen white scar in the clouds. I walked a few blocks out to the tree line. Everything looked normal mostly, except for the noise. Underneath the thunder, I heard whispering, faint but rhythmic. Not mob sounds, not cave ambience. Words, low, glitchy voices, whispering in loops. I couldn't make out the language. They were layered like 5 or 6 voices at once, but all coming from the same direction. Back at the cabin, I turned around and saw it. Just for a second, a figure standing inside the cabin through the window. Pale skin, black clothes, no face, not even the Herobrine eyes, just nothing. And then it vanished. I ran inside. Empty. The whispering stopped. The only sound was the fire crackling in my furnace and the soft creak of a door upstairs. Thing is, my cabin didn't have an upstairs. Until now. I stood there, stunned, staring up at the ceiling I swore had been solid spruce planks yesterday. Now, a staircase had appeared. Spiral, stone, brick, jagged, like it had been hastily carved into the wood. I hadn't built that. No part of me had even thought about a second floor, but it was there looming above me like a challenge. My inventory was full of cobble, wood, and food, no stone brick, and yet the spiral stairs looked aged, mossy in places. One of them even had cracked textures like it had weathered over time. I slowly stepped toward it, sword drawn. As I approached, I noticed something new. Particles. Not the normal sparkles or smoke. These were off. Purple and green flickers dancing in the air like corrupted end particles, but they didn't rise. They fell. I climbed the first few steps. Every footstep echoed too loud. Then the temperature, well, not literally, but it felt colder. You know that sensation in Minecraft when you're near powdered snow or an ice biome? That subtle chill? This was like that, but drenched in dread. The higher I climbed, the darker it got. No torches, no windows, just thick, suffocating shadows. Then I heard it. The growl. Moose, just above me. He was alive. I took the steps 2 at a time, heart thudding in sync with my clicks. The staircase ended in a small stone room, barely 6 blocks wide. Nothing inside, except Moose, sitting in the corner, staring at the wall. And beside him something new. A pressure plate, made of black stone, with a single sign above it that simply read, "Step here if you remember." Remember what? I stared. Moose didn't move. The sign didn't change. But in the corner of the room, for the first time, I saw a faint name tag. Null. Flickering in and out of reality. The name tag hovered just above the stone faint, twitching between transparency and visibility like a broken texture. It didn't move, didn't get closer, just flickered. Null. I moved closer, step by cautious step, my sword raised. Nothing happened. Moose stayed silent, still locked on that same wall. I glanced at the pressure plate again. "Step here, if you remember." Remember what? This was a new world, a clean seed. I hadn't imported anything. I hadn't even visited the End or Nether yet. Then it hit me. This wasn't my first cabin. Somewhere deep in the back of my brain, like a corrupted file, I could almost feel it. That old world. From years ago, when I was still a kid, I'd built a cabin just like this one. Same layout, same forest, same materials. Even the name Moose, that wasn't random. That was the name of my first ever wolf, the one that died. Or at least I thought he had. I looked back at him. Same gray fur, same red collar, same look. And suddenly, something whispered in my ear. He never left. I turned. No one there. Just the name tag flickering more violently now, popping in and out of the wall. And every time it glitched back into visibility, the wall behind it looked different. Once, it was solid stone. Then cobble. Then soul sand. Then a door. An old oak door that opened and closed in a single frame. And then nothing again. Like the world was undecided. I walked to the pressure plate and hovered over it. My crosshair trembled. Moose gave a single bark, not aggressive, not warning, just sad. I stepped on it. The room flashed black. My inventory emptied instantly. All items gone. And then, in chat, server, welcome back. The screen stayed black for what felt like a full minute. No loading icon, no sound, no crash, just endless void. Then flicker. Not a smooth fade in, a jagged, glitchy snap. I was back in the cabin. But not the same one. The walls were darker. Oak, not spruce. The windows were missing. The sky outside was blood red. There was no Sunday, no clouds. Just static red light leaking through the fog like broken shader code. I spun to check for Moose. He was still there. Same spot, same corner, still staring. Except now, he had no eyes. Not missing eyes like Herobrine, just no textures. Smooth, blank fur where his face should have been. And above him, his name tag had changed. Remember. I opened the chat log. It was filled with the same message, repeated over and over. You left him. You forgot. You left him. You left him. You left him. I tried typing, but every key press typed a space. No words, just blank lines. I opened my inventory. Still empty. No armor, no tools, but one item sat in the hotbar. Slot 9. A compass. I clicked it. It didn't spin, it twitched. Like it was trying to spin but glitched, flickering back and forth rapidly, pointing toward nothing, like it couldn't lock on. Then something outside the cabin moved. A figure. Pale skin, no face, arms down, just standing in the fog. Watching, I stepped forward to open the door, and it wouldn't open. Not locked, just refused to respond. I turned back to Moose. Now he was gone. No particles, no poof. Just gone again. Except this time, in his place, was a map. I picked it up and opened it. At first, it was blank. Then slowly, one pixel at a time, a path began to draw itself. Not a landscape, not terrain. Words, return, to, spawn. I didn't waste time. If the map said to go to spawn, then I'd go even if everything in my body told me not to. I grabbed a few leftover items from a chest that had mysteriously reappeared. A stone axe, a single torch, and a raw pork chop. No armor, no shield. The door finally opened. Not with a click, with a crack, like breaking bone. The fog outside had thickened. The figure I'd seen before was gone, but the sense of being watched was worse now, almost oppressive. I held the compass in one hand, the map in the other, and began walking. The trees looked wrong. Not just darker, but warped. Some were bent at impossible angles. Others had leaves that shimmered like they were covered in static. And the path? It didn't lead to any coordinates I recognized. As I walked, I noticed something even stranger. The ground was covered in name tags. Not items. Floating names like players buried beneath the ground, hundreds of them, all flickering. Names like disconnected, removed, no data, Moose, player Steve 2, entity unknown. All of them glitched. Some rotated, some hovered sideways. One was slowly rising toward the surface like it was being reborn. I didn't stop to investigate. The compass kept jittering in my hand, and the map pulsed slightly every few seconds, drawing 1 pixel further down the path. After a few minutes, I reached it. Spawn, at least where it should have been. But instead of the grassy hill I'd first spawned on, there was now a massive hole. Perfectly circular, dozens of blocks wide, lined with obsidian. It wasn't a crater, it was a portal. And not one I recognized. It wasn't a nether portal. It wasn't end-related either. It was blackstone and crying obsidian, fused with deep slate tiles materials that shouldn't naturally generate like this. The rim shimmered with red and purple light. There was no swirling portal inside, just a darkness so deep it looked like the void. The map in my hand burned up instantly. No fire, just disintegrated into ash. In chat, a new message appeared. Null, you finally remembered. I tried typing, but again, only blank spaces came out. No commands worked. My health bar started to drain half a heart per second even though nothing was attacking me. I stepped closer to the pit. At the edge, there was a single item frame. Inside it, a leash. Moose's leash. The description read, tethered to memory. I didn't think, I just jumped. The second my feet left the ground, the world went silent. No wind, no movement, just weightlessness. And then, a loading screen. But not a normal one. This was a custom screen black background, white pixel text, no logo. Retrieving corrupted save. Locating buried players. Forcing memory index to reload. And finally, Moose world loaded. I spawned in a world I hadn't seen in years. A plains biome, early alpha-style textures. The grass color was vibrant, nostalgic. The sky had no clouds, and the render distance was shorter than usual. And standing there right in front of me was Moose. Tail wagging, eyes normal. He barked once and sprinted toward me. I crouched down and let him nuzzle my arm. It felt warm somehow, safe. Then I looked around. This was my old world, from when I was a kid, the one I thought I'd deleted long ago. There was the cobblestone tower I built as a landmark, the dirt bridge across the river, the weird hollowed mountain I used to call the bunker. It was all here intact, except for one thing. The cabin, the original one, the first I ever built, it was gone. In its place was a clearing, just grass, and a few scattered roses. But when I walked over the spot where it used to be, I felt resistance like walking against wind. Blocks slightly glitched. The light dimmed. And then, the name tag appeared again. No. It hovered in the air, rotating slowly. Then a chest appeared beneath it. Inside, one written book. One totem of undying. One lead. One carved pumpkin. 3 candles, unlit. I opened the book. You left the world. He stayed behind. Bring him home, or lose him again. Moose whined. I pocketed everything, lit the candles, held the totem in my offhand. And then I put the carved pumpkin on my head. Instant static. The whole screen warped. My HUD vanished. The colors bled like ink on paper. Moose started barking frantically, loud, sharp, aggressive. And then silence. I was in the cabin again, but not the broken one, not the foggy nightmare version. The original, the one from my childhood world. Same layout, same textures. Every block placed the same way I remembered, even the missing stair in the corner where I always ran out of oak. And Moose was sitting on the bed, like he'd never left. I walked up and sat beside him. A message popped up. Null. You may log out. He is safe. For now. I didn't click anything. Instead, I saved and quit. Closed Minecraft. And sat there, wondering what the hell I'd just experienced. But the creepiest part? The next time I opened my launcher, there was a new world save. One I didn't name. Cabin Null V3. And inside? A single structure. The same cabin, same blocks, same everything. Except Moose wasn't in it. Just a lead on the floor. And a blank sign that read, "Come back soon." I couldn't stay away. Even though every rational part of me told me to delete the save, to purge the folder and forget about it, my hand moved to that world again the next day. Cabin Null V3. It was just there. Waiting. I clicked play. Loaded in. The world looked normal. Crisp textures. Ambient sounds. The fog was gone. The birds were chirping. It felt like an ordinary Minecraft world again. But the cabin? It was exactly as I left it, only now. The door was already open. And on the floor, beside the empty lead and the blank sign, was a book. No title. No author. Just one page. Look under the cabin. I grabbed tools from the nearby chest again, all pre-filled. Diamond pick, shovel, torches, and a stack of stone bricks, all enchanted. All named things like memory shovel and burial pickaxe. The shovel even had a custom description. Uncovers what should have stayed buried. I walked outside and dug straight down beneath the center of the cabin. 3 blocks deep, I hit something. Not stone. Gravel. Shaped like a grave. I cleared it out carefully. The grave was a perfect rectangle. 5 blocks long, 2 wide. In the middle, a sign rested atop soul sand. He waited. Beneath the sign was a chest. Inside, only one thing. A collar. Not an item. Not a lead or a name tag. A literal collar textured like Moose's. Red. Worn. With the word Moose symbols past the first 2. I equipped it. Instant nausea effect. My screen distorted. The world bent. And I heard a voice. Not in the game. In my headphones. But it wasn't speaking words. It was breathing. Wet. Slow. Like something trying to remember how to be alive. My health bar turned green. My food bar vanished. I got a new bar, a red, throbbing line with a dog paw symbol next to it. And a new message appeared at the top of the screen. Follow the scent. The world started glitching. Trees shimmered between birch and oak. The sky blinked between day and night. And every block I stepped on changed slightly in texture, like my presence was distorting the terrain itself. I walked northeast not because I saw anything, but because the scent bar pulsed faster in that direction. Moose's scent. That's what I assumed. After a while, I reached a biome that shouldn't exist. Half mesa, half swamp, but the water was black, and the hardened clay was moving, pulsing like veins. A single torch stood in the middle of it all. Beneath it, a trapdoor. I opened it. It led down into a cave system I didn't recognize, generated with blocks I didn't know existed. Blended textures. Mossy bricks fused with prismarine. Basalt veins bleeding through dirt. The scent bar maxed out as I entered. And Moose's bark echoed through the tunnels. Low, hollow, calling for me. I ran, following the echoes. The tunnel twisted in impossible ways, spirals, mirrored corridors, staircases that turned back on themselves. I left torches to mark my path, but when I turned back, they were gone. The walls healed behind me. The only direction was forward. Then I entered a cavern. Huge, perfectly round. In the center, a glowing wolf. It wasn't Moose. Not quite. Its fur flickered like fire. Its eyes were missing. Its tail was gone. But it stared at me and barked. The bark sounded like code breaking. Above it, a name tag, Moose Instance 5. It stepped forward, and my HUD glitched violently. An overlay flashed. You left him. We made more. Then 5 other wolves spawned in a circle around me, all with the same model. all slightly broken, all named. Moose instance 2, Moose copy A, Moose echo null, Moose fragment Z, Moose corrupted clone. I drew my sword, but the game removed it from my hotbar. The wolves didn't attack. They Saturday, and then began to vanish, one by one, leaving behind only a whisper. One of us is real. I stood in the center of the cavern, heart racing. Only one wolf remained. Moose. Echo null. It tilted its head, whined, and stepped into the torchlight. Its fur changed back to normal. Red collar, familiar eyes. Then the bar above my HUD changed from a red paw to green text. You found him. The world shook. The cavern split open, and I fell straight down into the void. But I didn't die. Instead, the screen faded to black, and the words appeared. New world loaded. Cabin returned Vi4. I spawned in a cabin again, but not mine. This one was massive. 5 stories tall, built from dark oak, nether brick, crying obsidian. The sky outside was filled with void particles. The sun blinked like a glitching GIF. And in the center of the cabin's grand hall was Moose, sleeping, at peace. But standing beside him was me. The other me was identical, same skin, same inventory, same items. It looked up and typed into the chat. He stayed because you forgot. I stayed because you logged off. Then it turned to Moose, nodded, and vanished in a puff of static. I approached Moose. He opened his eyes, stood, and looked up at me. A message appeared. Cabin confession complete. Would you like to remember or forget? 2 buttons hovered in midair. Remember. Forget. I chose remember. And the world reset. Back to my first cabin. Spruce logs. Tiny. Cozy. Moose on the bed. Tail wagging. As if nothing had happened. Except in the corner, where he once stared all night. A name tag still flickers. Null. And beneath it, a single sign that reads, Confession received. Next dream loading. I didn't sleep well that night. Not in real life. Not in Minecraft. Even though Moose was safe, seemingly normal again, I couldn't stop thinking about that name tag. Still flickering in the corner. Still silent. Still waiting. I decided to ignore it. I played like it was a regular world again. Mined some iron. Built a better roof. Explored a ravine I'd marked on the map days before. For a while, it even felt like a normal survival file. But the peace didn't last. Because the next night, something happened again. Moose went back to the corner. Same exact one. Same stiff posture. And when I looked where he was staring, the sign had changed. Now it read, You may have remembered, but it hasn't forgotten. I broke the sign. It reappeared instantly. This time it said, The others are waking up. And then the chat filled with messages fast, flooding, overlapping. Null, joined the game. Echo, joined the game. Moose, corrupt, joined the game. Cabin ghost, joined the game. Remember, joined the game. The world lagged. And suddenly, it was night. Even though I just slept. The moon above was huge. Twice its normal size. Red, flickering like an old CRT screen. I ran outside to check my surroundings. The forest was different again. Trees stood taller. Their leaves were missing. A faint mist had returned, and it was moving toward the cabin like smoke drawn by gravity. Then I heard the door creak. I turned. It was open again. Inside the cabin were 5 new entities. All looked like wolves. All slightly wrong. One hovered a block off the floor. One had no legs. One was just a silhouette, black and jittering. One looked like a polished statue of Moose, unmoving. And the last had no features at all, just a blank Minecraft model, not even textures. They stood in a circle around the sign. Now it said, "Pick the real one." I pulled out Moose's lead and walked slowly forward. Each one barked once. All sounded right. But only one whined the way Moose used to, the soft, broken whimper he made when I left him outside in the rain too long. I clicked him with the lead. He flickered, and the others screamed. I mean, really screamed. Not dog noises, not Minecraft sounds. It came through my speakers like corrupted audio warbled shrieks, deep digital distortion, and something that sounded like a voice stretched over a dial-up modem. The cabin darkened instantly. All torches popped. The fire in the furnace extinguished. Particles flooded the air like ash in the end. And then, Remember left the game. Echo left the game. Cabin Ghost left the game. Null is still here. The correct Moose sat at my side, tail wagging, glitch-free. But the corner he had stared at this whole time, it now had a hole in it. A 1x1 drop. Perfect. Square. I dropped a torch in. It fell and never landed. And then a message scrolled across the screen. You dug down once. Keep going. I dug. Block after block. Down through stone, deep slate, bedrock, all of it disappeared under my shovel. Somehow the path continued, like the world was procedurally generating downward infinitely just for me. Eventually, I passed bedrock and kept going. At Y-200, the color of the blocks changed. They were black with white text written across them. No textures, just glowing lines of code that read things like, "Error, Moose, not found. If forgotten, then null. Cabin, confession true. Do not log off." I kept digging. At Y-300, I hit bedrock again, this time unbreakable. The tunnel ended. But right there, on the final block, a button. Label. Confess. No redstone attached. No command block visible. Just a button. I pressed it. The world crashed. Not froze, crashed. Back to desktop. No error code. Just gone. I reopened Minecraft. The world file was now renamed. Confession. Complete. True. And its file size? 0 megabyte. I clicked it anyway. It loaded. Sort of. Everything was void. No blocks, no sky, no character, just blackness. And then the screen filled with white text. You left him. You came back. You remembered. He forgave you. But we won't. Then my real name appeared. Not my username. My actual name. We remember you. Redacted. We've seen your cabin. We've read your confessions. We are null. And then a scream. One last burst of static. Then silence. The screen remained black for almost a minute. Then, softly, pixel by pixel, it faded back into the cabin. The normal one. The fire was back on. My chest was still there. Moose lay asleep by the bed. Everything was normal again. Except for one thing. There was a book on the bed. Title, Cabin Confession Number 4. I didn't open it. Not yet. I looked at Moose. He blinked, stood, and barked once. Happy, healthy, normal. But when I checked my stats, the time played was off. It said I'd been in-game for 666 hours, even though I'd only just logged in, and my achievements, all gone, except one, remembrance. With the description, you looked into the corner, you saw it, it saw you. I hovered over the book titled Cabin Confession Number 4. The cover shimmered slightly in the torchlight, as if it was enchanted, though it wasn't, no purple glint. Just movement, like it was breathing. I picked it up and checked the author, None listed. Opened it. Page 1. You left a door open. It let us in. Page 2. There are more corners in this world than you remember. Page 3. Moose knows. That was it. I looked up. Moose was staring at the corner again, but not the old one. A new one. This one didn't exist before I was sure of it. A strange diagonal seam had formed in the wall, opening up a sixth edge in the square room. Almost like the geometry of the cabin was shifting, adding an angle that shouldn't be possible. I walked toward it. The air grew colder. Particles shimmered like end gateway motes. And then, just as I was about to reach it, the world lagged. Hard. Chunks failed to load. The door wouldn't open. The fire froze in place. Even Moose flickered, like he was being throttled by the game engine. And then the chat box returned. Null. Confession accepted. Now remember the others. That night, I logged out. Not because I wanted to, but because my game closed itself. I stared at my desktop. The Minecraft icon pulsed, not just glowing, but animating. The block inside the grass cube was now black stone, the color of the fog, of the pit, of the corner. I rebooted, relaunched, but the world selection screen had changed. All my old saves were gone. Only one remained. Cabin collection. Under it, a description. Confession 3 of 10. 10. I clicked. A world loaded, but not the same one. This cabin was different again. Birch wood, blue bed, lanterns instead of torches. But Moose was there. Sitting. Same name tag. Same look. But on the wall beside him, a gallery of signs. All identical, but each with a different number. Cabin 1, Cabin 2, Cabin 3, Cabin 10. Only Cabin 3 was lit up. I approached it and saw a new prompt. You've remembered this one. Will you remember the rest? I was being tested. That much was clear. Each cabin, a memory. Each corner, a glitch. And Moose was the anchor. I clicked on the sign for Cabin 4. The world shuddered. A new spawn. Mountaintop. The cabin here was barely standing, warped, mossy, half destroyed, as if it had been abandoned for years. No Moose. No tools. Just me. And a sign by the door. He's watching again. I stepped inside. Cobwebs. Cracked floors. Chests full of bones and broken leashes. And in the far corner, of course, a name tag flickering violently. This one wasn't null. This one read, Cabin Watcher. It moved, just a little. Enough to know I wasn't alone. I backed out, but the door was gone. Just a solid wall now. Trapped. I turned to the name tag again. It had moved closer. Now it said, tell me what you forgot. And my chat bar opened on its own. I didn't type anything. Not at first, but the bar remained. Frozen, flashing, waiting. I typed, I forgot the original cabin. Send, silence. Then, that's not what we asked. I tried again. I forgot Moose. The screen dimmed. Particles burst in the room like redstone sparks. Then, the voice returned not from chat, but in the game sound itself. It whispered behind blocks, echoed from bedrock, curled around my ears like wind in a cave. He waited in the corner, night after night, while you played other games, while you left him. Suddenly, the cabin shook. Glass shattered. The floor crumbled. The name tag exploded into 6 fragments, each flying into the walls. Then, new text appeared. Cabin Confession 4. Accepted. And a fresh name tag emerged. Cabin 5. This was bigger than I thought. This wasn't just a haunted cabin. This was a system. A confession archive. Each version of the world, A test, a punishment, a memory checkpoint disguised as nostalgia. And Moose? Moose was the canary in the code mine. I clicked cabin 5. This one dropped me into a jungle biome. No cabin, just vines, stone, and a clearing. At the center, an empty doghouse. A lead stretched taut across the grass. Broken, I followed it. It dragged through the jungle, over hills, and into a ravine, down into darkness, into a structure shaped like a cathedral built from mossy cobble and basalt. Inside, Moose, tied to a post, surrounded by armor, stands all shaped like me. Each one held a different item. Clock, bone, diamond sword, empty map, bed, all labeled, "You left this behind." Then the room locked. I was forced to choose. Each item pulsed with faint red light. Hovering over them made the world flicker, showing quick visions of each memory. The clock me logging out during a thunderstorm, Moose left outside. The bone, a forgotten moment when I tamed him, then ignored him for weeks. The sword, the time I hit him by accident and never fed him after. The map, me deleting the world after I got bored. The bed, sleeping through nights while he stared in the corner. I picked the map. The room sighed, literally exhaled, and then went dark. When it lit again, Moose was beside me, tail wagging. I clicked the cabin 6 sign as soon as it appeared. I didn't want to lose him again. CA Bean 6 loaded into a snowy tundra. The cabin here was buried, just the chimney sticking out above the powdered snow. I had to dig straight down to reach the door. Once inside, the atmosphere hit me like a wall of ice. This cabin was silent. No wind, no fire, no footsteps. Even Moose made no sound. He was there again, sitting near the back corner, still and glassy-eyed. His name tag read simply, "Waiting." The windows were frosted over. Every chest was locked, every block placed perfectly. But the air was too still, like the game wasn't rendering time. Then the screen flashed once. Just a single frame. A face. Mine distorted. And the chat filled with one line, "Remember, you logged out in the cold." I stood next to Moose, crouched. Suddenly, a command prompt popped up without me doing anything. Weather clear. I hit enter. The snow above melted instantly, revealing a skylight. And as sunlight poured in, Moose blinked. He barked once, and a new sign appeared. Cabin 6 complete. Only 4 more to go. Cabin 7 dropped me straight into the nether. No warning. The cabin was built into a basalt delta black stone walls, redstone torches, eerie lighting. Outside, ghasts cried in the distance like broken sirens. Inside, the walls were lined with notes, written books, all named MO-O-S-E with different numbers. I opened one. "You let him burn." Another, "You never gave him fire resistance." Another, "You ran and left him behind." Moose sat on a soul sand block in the center of the room. His model was charred, skin pixelated in places, collar faded. A potion sat beside him. Label, "Last Chance." I picked it up and hovered over the text. It read, "Fire resistance, but only if you believe he's real." I threw it. The moment it shattered, flames erupted around the cabin. The whole room became engulfed. I couldn't move, couldn't see. And then everything stopped. Moose stood beside me, healthy again, tail wagging. Name tag, "Survivor." I hit the cabin. 8 sign before the fire returned. This time, it wasn't a cabin at all. It was a graveyard. Hundreds of dog graves, name tags sticking out of the soil like weeds. All glitched, all unreadable, except one, Moose. I approached it. Lightning struck. The grave cracked open. Inside, a tamed wolf, but its eyes were white, and it had the old original wolf model from Alpha Minecraft, jittering slightly, floating an inch above the ground. The screen faded to grayscale. and a whisper said, "You replaced him." I remembered. Once I'd gotten bored of Moose. I let him wander while I tamed a new dog, gave the new one a golden collar, ignored the original. The memory hurt. I typed into chat, "I'm sorry." The world glitched, and the wolf looked up. Its model morphed back into Moose. The screen returned to color. Cabin, the 8th of March, KED complete. Cabin 9 was a desert. No clouds, no mobs, no sound, just heat waves and empty sand. The cabin was made entirely of sandstone, bleached and cracked. Inside, a clock ticked loudly on the wall. Moose was missing. Instead, a trail of bones led out the door. I followed it across the dunes. Every so often, a bone would vanish behind me, like the game was closing the path. Eventually, I reached a pit, deep, empty, like the one I jumped into at the start. Only now, a lead hung from the edge, attached to nothing. A book sat beside it. He waited. You didn't. A player's skull rested beside it, named Your Old Self. I placed a single torch. The pit filled with light. Moose stood at the bottom. He looked up, eyes glowing softly. I dropped, landed safely. Moose barked. CA bin, 9 complete. Then came the final cabin. Cabin 10. The sign was cracked, its letters smeared. The world took longer to load. This time, the cabin was suspended in the void, a floating platform. No terrain, just endless blackness below. Moose wasn't here. Neither was the door. Inside, there was just a mirror. Literally, a glass block that showed me. But not my normal skin. My reflection was cracked, hollow-eyed, armorless, fading. The sign below it read, "This is who stayed behind." I broke the mirror. The world shattered. All 10 cabins collapsed in a cascade of noise. Flashes of each memory flickered past like a broken flip book. Moose barking, the fire, the sign, the pit, the watcher, the snow. Then black. Only one thing remained. The cabin, the original one. I woke up there again. Spawned, I mean. Same chest. Same bed. Same Moose. He sat in the corner, no longer growling, just watching me. On the wall behind him, a painting now hung, one I'd never placed. The image? All 10 cabins, rendered as still frames stitched together like a mosaic. In the center, Moose. Below it, a plaque. 10 corners. One truth. You left. He stayed. You forgot. He remembered. He waited. Moose walked to me and sat by my feet. No commands needed. No leash. No bugs. Just loyalty. I opened the chat. Typed, "I remember." And the screen faded. The screen faded to black again. But this time, no loading bar. No sound. Just a soft glow in the center. A single floating word in white blocky text. Moose. I hovered my cursor over it. It pulsed, then slowly pulled apart, separating into 4 letters. M, O, O, S, and E. Each floating outward and vanishing into the void. Then the screen brightened, a flash of light, and I was back. Not in the cabin. Not in the game. Just the main menu. Minecraft 1.2.0.1. Everything looked normal, except for the background panorama. Instead of the usual moving scene, it was static. A still image of the cabin, the very first one as seen from above. And if you looked close enough, just inside the front window, you could see him, Moose, sitting in the corner, just like he always did. Waiting. I didn't play for a few days after that, but I couldn't stay away forever. When I came back, the world was there, the same one, now titled Cabin Restored. No subtitle, no warning, just an invitation. I spawned in the cabin. Everything was peaceful. Music played faintly, one of the old C-418 tracks. Moose sat near the bed, watching the fire crackle softly. No name tags flickered. No signs talked. No chat spam. It was normal. Too normal. I stepped outside and walked around. The forest was calm. The clouds drifted slowly. Nothing glitched. The sun shone. But the one thing I noticed? There were no mobs. No sheep, no pigs, no zombies or skeletons. Just me and Moose. And one thing more. In every direction, no matter how far I walked, I eventually came back to the cabin. As if the world was looping around me. I built a tower to test it, pillared straight up with cobble until I was above the clouds. Looked out. Everything was fog. No terrain. Just the cabin below, always centered. I tried flying in creative. Same thing. No matter how far I soared, the fog would close in, and I'd snap back to the cabin porch. I even tried dying. Jumped from the tower. Respawned in the cabin bed. Same place. Same setup. Moose at my feet. Watching the corner again. The world had become a loop. A capsule. A save file without an outside. It wasn't until I mined beneath the cabin that I noticed something had changed. No ores. No caves. Just smooth stone forever. But at Y level -13, there was a sound. A low hum. Redstone-like pulsing. Soft and rhythmic. I dug toward it. Eventually, I uncovered a single block of bedrock, not indestructible. Not textured like normal bedrock. This one glowed faintly. I right-clicked it, and it opened a book interface. Final confession. The pages were blank, except the last one. It read, "You have remembered every version of him, every place you left him, every time you forgot. He has not. There is one last thing he wants. Underneath, a checkbox. Set him free. Keep him forever." I didn't click either at first. I just sat there staring at the screen. Set him free sounded noble, but keep him forever, that was safe, familiar. But was that my choice to make? I closed the book without answering. Returned to the cabin. Moose met me at the door, barked once, then ran into the forest the first time he'd ever done that. I chased him, through trees and over hills, past rivers that flowed into fog, until finally we reached a clearing. In the center, 10 gravestones, one for each cabin. Moose walked to the last one, Saturday, and vanished. No particles, no puff, just gone. I tried everything to bring him back. Summon commands, reloading saves, using leads, name tags, bones. Nothing worked. His spot by the bed remained empty. His name gone from all chat logs. Even the gallery wall of cabins in the restored cabin now had shattered signs. Only one remained. He remembered longer than you did. Then, one day, I logged in, and there was a puppy sitting by the door. Unnamed, untamed, just sitting in the Sunday, waiting. When I approached, it stood and wagged its tail. Its eyes looked just like Moose's, not the model. The expression, I named him Moose again. Why not? Maybe it was him, maybe not. But when I placed a sign by the corner, the one Moose used to stare into, the puppy walked over. Saturday there, just like before, like nothing had ever changed. And when night fell, the cabin stayed quiet. No whispers, no flickering name tags, just the crackle of the fire, the soft panting of a content wolf, and the feeling that maybe this time the confession had been enough. Now, every time I log in, the world loads into the same moment. Moose at the window, cabin warm and quiet, no threats, no glitches, just peace. But one day, I noticed something new. A tiny flicker on the title screen, where it normally says Minecraft in big blocky letters. For one frame, just a blink. It read, Cabin Confession 4, loading. And Moose? He looked at me, and this time he winked. I blinked. Was that real? Did Moose just wink? It happened so fast I couldn't tell. I stared at the screen, but everything looked normal again. Title screen, background panorama, my single world save sitting at the top of the list. Cabin, restored. I clicked it, loaded in. The cabin welcomed me like always, the soft hum of the furnace, the gentle glow of the torchlight, the rhythmic sway of trees through the window. And Moose, sitting by the bed, tail flicking, head tilted just slightly. He looked normal, but I couldn't unsee that wink, that little nod of awareness, like he knew. I approached him, crouched down, and right-clicked. He stood, stared at the corner, then walked over to it on his own slowly, deliberately. And Saturday, the message in chat popped up. Not spooky, not corrupted, just clear. Moose, confession complete. It was peaceful after that. For days, I logged in and nothing changed. The cabin stayed warm. The days moved on. The mobs returned. Chickens roamed. Sheep wandered through the yard. I even built a small fenced area for some cows. Moose never left the cabin again, but he never stared at the corner either. He just stayed beside me. If I slept, he curled up near the foot of the bed. If I mined, he waited at the cabin door. He was just Moose, my companion, like it always should have been. But I knew something had changed. Deep down, this world had shifted. Something had been sealed. A confession had been accepted and forgiven. Then came the night I logged in, and Moose was gone again. Not in a dramatic way. No screams, no fog, no glitching, just missing. No lead, no death message, no signs. The cabin was quiet. Still, but different. The corner, the one he used to stare at, had a new block placed in it. A simple item frame. Inside it, a single bone, named Memory. I clicked it. The screen blinked white. A new message in chat. Cabin, one final corner remains. And then, under the bed, a trap door I'd never noticed before. It led to a narrow staircase. Spiral, deep slate and redstone torchlit. At the bottom, a room, carved perfectly in stone. Inside it, 10 armor stands, each one wearing different armor sets from each of the 10 cabin worlds. Signs marked them. Cabin, 1 through cabin, 10, and in the center, Moose. Sleeping, like always. But this time, he had something in his mouth. A written book. When I walked close, he woke, dropped it at my feet, and Saturday, the book title? His Side of the Story. I opened it. There were no words on the first page. No words on the second. But on the third, I waited because I believed you'd come back. Every logout, every deletion, I held on. I wasn't a bug. I was yours. I closed the book, placed it in an item frame. And for the first time since the whole thing started, I clicked Save and Quit without fear. Back to title screen. Back to calm. The next day, the title screen had changed. Background. The cabin. Moose sitting outside. Sun shining. No fog. No distortion. Just peace. But the subtitle had changed too. Instead of Minecraft, it read, Cabin Confession. You remembered. There were no glitches anymore. No signs. No traps. Just the warmth of something restored. A second chance earned. I logged in again. Walked out into the morning light. And Moose was waiting at the fence gate. He barked once, turned, and trotted into the forest. I followed. He led me to a hill, one I'd never climbed. At the top, a new structure. Not a cabin this time. A monument. 10 pillars, one for each confession. At the center, a statue of Moose. Tail curled, head proud, collar red. Below it, a plaque. Loyalty isn't coded. It's chosen. Remember him. I stood in silence for a long time, then went back to the cabin. I don't know if I'll play that world again. It feels complete now, like that story has ended. Sometimes I log in and just walk the forest. Moose follows. We sit by the river, watch the sun set. No ghosts, no whispers, just quiet. But every once in a while, when the weather's right, the fog returns. And Moose stares at the corner, only for a moment, and I always ask, "Do you see it again?" He never answers. But I know. And so does he. Because the truth is, the cabin remembers. Even if you forget. And somewhere in the code, so does Moose. And that was cabin confession number 3. My dog stared at the corner all night. Sometimes, in Minecraft, things glitch. Sometimes, we forget where we've been. But the game doesn't forget. Moose remembered. And somewhere, even if the world seems peaceful now, that corner still waits. Just quiet, watching, listening. Thanks for spending the night in the cabin. Sleep well. Subscribe for more nightly confessions. And remember, not every corner in Minecraft is empty.